In the Caribbean Sea, Julia and Tom are enjoying a relaxing yacht trip with their kids, Cassie and Ben. While Tom and Ben are fishing, Cassie listens to music with her headphones, and Julia decides to take a swim near the boat. Suddenly, a strong ocean current starts to pull her away. In just a few minutes, Julia sees that the yacht is already far. She panics and yells for help, but Cassie can't hear her because of the music, and Ben is busy trying to catch a fish. Luckily, Tom hears her shouting and quickly moves the yacht closer to her. He jumps into the water, swims to Julia, and brings her back safely. After this scary moment, Julia says she doesn't understand how the current took her, since the sea looked calm. Tom feels relieved that Julia is safe and tells everyone not to swim far from the boat again. Later, the family sits together to celebrate Ben's 13th birthday. They start by giving him gifts. Tom gives him a new laptop, Cassie gives him a jellyfish mask, and Julia gives him a necklace from the Dominican Republic, saying it will protect him from bad spirits. After that, they all take a photo together and get ready to cut the birthday cake. Just then, Cassie gets a video call from her boyfriend, Adam. He's excited to see her, but the call cuts out when the camera shows a big storm over the city. Cassie finds it strange because she has never seen a storm like that before. She tells her parents about it. At that moment, they hear strange sounds coming from the water. They look outside and see humpback whales swimming near the yacht. It looks like the whales are moving together to another place. One of them accidentally hits the boat, so Tom dives in to check if there's any damage. A few minutes later, Tom comes back up with a serious wound on his shoulder. He says some sea creature attacked him, but he doesn't know what it was. Julia quickly helps and wraps his shoulder. Things get worse when they find out one of the yacht's propellers is broken because of the whales. Now they need help to get back to shore. Julia tries to call for help using the radio, but no one answers. Their phones also have no signal. Tom says they only have enough supplies for 4 days, so they need help fast. Things get even stranger when they see bright lights falling from the sky, like meteorites. One lands close to the yacht. Tom tries to start the yacht, but the second propeller is also not working, and the engine overheats. When he looks again, he realizes those aren't meteorites. They are broken pieces of satellites, and more of them are falling near the yacht. Tom quickly hugs his wife and kids, using his own body to protect them. Thankfully, the object doesn't hit the yacht. Still, it's too risky to stay outside, so the whole family goes inside the cabin and shuts all the doors and windows. But the falling satellite parts make the yacht spin out of control. The movement throws Ben, and he gets hurt. His parents help him up and lay him safely on the couch. Tom gives life jackets to Cassie and Ben, then struggles to reach the radio to call for help. Just then, a powerful storm hits, shaking the yacht even more. The chaos gets worse. Julia's nose starts bleeding, Cassie feels like throwing up, and Ben feels really sick. He tries to run to his room but falls on the stairs because the boat is rocking so much. Julia and Tom hold on to their kids, and all four stay close together in the cabin, waiting for the storm to stop. After many hours of fear and waiting, the family wakes up the next morning. They are safe, but the yacht is badly damaged. When they go outside to check what happened, they are shocked to see that the ocean is completely gone. The yacht is now sitting in the middle of a huge dry land. It looks like the sea has vanished and left behind a massive desert. Tom thinks something big has happened. He remembers that 700,000 years ago, the Earth's poles switched places. He believes this might have happened again, and it changed where the oceans and land are. If he's right, huge waves might have destroyed cities and many people could be gone. Cassie starts crying and gets really upset, thinking something may have happened to her boyfriend, Adam. She runs into the bedroom and locks the door. Her parents try to comfort her, but they know they can't waste time. They start working to fix the yacht and collect all the food and water they can find. Ben wants to help too. He ties his birthday balloons to a rope and raises them high so any nearby survivors might see them. At the same time, Tom fixes the radio and tries again to contact someone. Finally, he hears a reply. A man named Now answers. He says he's the captain of a submarine that had been exploring deep under the sea, but when the poles flipped, the submarine ended up stuck on land too. Captain Now believes this strange event is nature's way of reacting to all the pollution and damage caused by humans. He also says his submarine's computer shows this same event will happen again in less than a week. That means the ocean will return. And when it does, it will destroy everything in its path. He then warns the family to find the highest ground possible, or they won't survive the massive waves. Before the call ends, Tom asks if the submarine can survive the impact. Captain Now says maybe, but there's only enough space for 3 people. Worried about their children's safety, Tom and Julia beg Captain to let Cassie and Ben stay on the submarine so they have a better chance of surviving. He agrees and gives them the exact location of the submarine. It's a 3-day journey from where they are. With a plan in place, Tom tells his family to rest that night. Early the next morning, they get ready to start the trip. They gather all the food and water they can carry. But suddenly, Tom spots a strange man walking toward the yacht. The man is carrying a harpoon and has a dog by his side. Trying to be friendly, Tom walks over and offers the man a bottle of water. But right after he drinks it, the man hits Tom hard, knocking him down. Then without warning, he stabs Tom with the harpoon. Julia sees everything and runs to help, but the attacker quickly finishes Tom off with a deadly blow to the neck. Horrified and unable to save him, Julia runs to alert her kids, but the man throws his harpoon again, hitting her in the shoulder. In pain, but still strong, Julia manages to reach the boat and locks herself inside with Cassie and Ben. The man follows, trying to force his way in. Inside, Julia gives her kids a flare gun and tells them to hide in a small space under the sofa. She then hides in the bathroom with a knife to protect herself. Moments later, the attacker breaks into the boat and grabs a can of food while searching for the others. In the bathroom, Julia wraps her shoulder to stop the bleeding and gets ready. As the man gets close to the bathroom, he opens the door. But Julia escapes just in time through a small hole in the ship. Once outside, she runs into the man's dog, which starts barking loudly. The dog jumps at her, and with no other option, Julia uses her blade to stop it. The dog cries out, and the man rushes to check. When he finds the dog's body, he gets furious and starts looking for Julia. She sneaks back onto the yacht through the front and begins searching for her children. But the man finds her first, punches her in the face, and knocks her down. He then grabs her legs and tries to pull her, but Julia fights back and kicks him hard. She tries to grab the knife again, but the man overpowers her and slams her face into the ground, making her nose bleed. The fight gets more intense, while Cassie and Ben hide, watching everything, scared and unsure of what to do. The man punches Julia again, pushes her against the sofa, and starts to twist her neck. At that moment, Cassie can't take it anymore. She grabs the flare gun, jumps out from under the sofa, and fires, hitting the attacker right in the chest. The flare also causes a fire in the kitchen. Julia quickly gets up and rushes to save their supplies before the flames spread. As she grabs the backpack, the attacker, still alive, tries to strike again. But Julia turns around and kicks him hard in the face, stopping him once more. Julia rushes to her children, who are kneeling beside their father's body. They hug Tom, crying and begging him to wake up. But sadly, Tom is gone. There's no time to mourn, though. The man with the harpoon is still alive and slowly walking toward them. The three of them run toward the mountains. After getting far enough, they stop to catch their breath. Ben is still shaken by everything. He blames himself, thinking that the balloons he used as a signal brought the stranger to their ship. Julia gently tells him it's not his fault and promises to keep them safe no matter what. After this short rest, they continue their journey toward the submarine. But only a few minutes later, Ben spots a hammerhead shark nearby. It's struggling on the dry land, slowly dying without water. Julia urges him to keep moving, and when she looks through her binoculars, she sees the man with the harpoon is still coming after them. The family picks up the pace. As they walk, they pass old oil barrels, plastic bottles, and trash, signs of pollution left by humans. Hours go by. Ben begins to feel weak and dizzy from dehydration. Julia quickly reaches for their water bottle, but when she opens it, she finds only a few drops left. Cassie had forgotten to close the lid properly. Julia gets upset with her daughter for the mistake, knowing they need every drop to survive. Cassie, feeling hopeless, says the whole journey is useless, but Julia snaps back, telling her not to speak that way and insists they must keep going no matter what. At last, they come across a crashed plane in the middle of the desert. They decide to use it as shelter for the night. Inside, Julia sits down on one of the old seats, pulls out the photo from Ben's birthday, and stares at it, missing Tom deeply. Trying to lift the mood, Cassie asks her mom how she met Tom. Julia smiles a little through her sadness and begins to tell their story. She says she met Tom when she was working as a medical intern at a hospital. Tom had come in after an accident during his college research trip. Julia took care of him, and when he woke up, he instantly fell for her. Soon, they began dating. Because of his studies, Tom had to go back to Germany. But a few months later, he returned with a job offer in Miami. The only thing he wanted was for Julia to go with him, so he asked her to marry him. Without any hesitation, she said yes. They built a beautiful life together. But now, that life has been torn apart. The man chasing them is the one who took Tom away. After hearing Julia's story, all three of them begin to cry, missing Tom deeply. They try to rest for the rest of the day. Hours pass. Julia and Ben fall asleep, while Cassie wakes up and quietly steps outside the plane to relieve herself. She doesn't realize that the man with the harpoon is sneaking up behind her, slowly getting closer with the intent to attack. But what he doesn't know is that Julia had also woken up and noticed something was wrong. Without hesitation, she charges at him from behind, stabbing him with the knife and then driving the blade into his heart. Even though he's badly wounded, Julia isn't done. She unleashes all her anger and grief, stabbing him again and again. Cassie watches in shock as her mother continues the attack. She rushes to Julia and hugs her tightly, helping her snap out of her rage and drop the knife. At last, the man who had hunted them and taken Tom's life was gone. The family could finally sleep in peace for the night. The next morning, they check on the man's body, but it's gone. Only bloody remains are left, torn apart by some unknown creature. Julia grows worried. If something else is out there, it could be even more dangerous than the man with the harpoon. She tells the children they must keep moving. Under the burning sun, Ben starts walking on his own and discovers a small puddle filled with dirty, contaminated water. Desperate from thirst, he kneels down and begins drinking it. Julia and Cassie rush to pull him away before he can swallow too much. They take him to a nearby field scattered with old plastic chairs and set up a temporary camp. Julia quickly gives Ben medicine to stop him from getting sick from the water. Too exhausted to keep going, they rest once more. But not long after, Julia hears a strange sound, like heavy paws stomping rapidly across the ground. Alarmed, she wakes her children, and they run as fast as they can. After climbing a hill, they spot an old cargo ship stranded in the desert. It's been turned into a survivors' camp. Julia runs to the ship and pleads for help, but the survivors, armed with pistols and shotguns, refuse to let them in. They hide inside the containers, ignoring her warnings. Desperate, Julia shouts that dangerous creatures are coming, large crab-like monsters from the sea. Still, the people inside don't help. With no choice, Julia tells her children to climb up onto the containers to stay out of reach of the beasts. Julia tries to climb too, but one of the creatures latches onto her foot, injuring her. With great effort, she pulls herself up just in time. The three of them stay on top of the containers. The survivors inside are not as lucky. The creatures break through the gaps in the ship and wipe them all out. Julia, weakened from the injury, passes out. When she wakes up the next morning, her children are missing. Panicked, she goes to search for them and finds Cassie, who had gone looking for help but didn't find anyone alive. Together, the family explores the remains of the survivors' camp. They find weapons and supplies. Julia uses the gunpowder from some bullets to cauterize her wound, burning it shut to stop infection. She then powers on the radio and contacts Now, the submarine captain. Julia tells him what happened to Tom and about the strange sea creature they encountered. Now explains that these creatures are arthropods, ancient beings from the deep sea that are now trying to survive on land. Because of the high oxygen levels in the air, they've become stronger and more aggressive. They'll attack anything they find. Worse still, Now warns that the sea is returning much faster than expected. In just a few hours, the entire region will be underwater. If Julia and her kids don't reach the submarine in time, they won't survive the flood. To help them find the exact location, Now fires a signal flare into the sky. Thanks to the signal, Julia now knows where to go, but the path ahead is dangerous. It's a deep ravine with narrow stone walkways. As the family carefully crosses, a sudden rock slide begins. A massive rock almost crushes Cassie and Ben, but Julia pushes them out of the way, saving their lives. In doing so, she ends up separated from them. The fallen rocks form a huge barrier, and there's no way for her to climb over. Julia tells her children to keep going and save themselves. Even though they don't want to leave her behind, she insists she'll find a way back to them. Cassie and Ben rush to the submarine. When they arrive, they find Now, badly injured and barely alive. He's been attacked by the sea creatures and is losing too much blood. Even so, he's determined to protect the kids. He tells them their mother should take his spot in the submarine. When Cassie hears this, she immediately heads back to get Julia. Ben gives her his necklace, the one Julia gave him, so she'll be protected on the way. Back at the ravine, Julia hears the sound of the creatures approaching. She grabs the shotgun she took from the cargo camp and fires, but there are too many of them, and her ammo is nearly gone. Just when it seems like there's no way out, Cassie appears at the top of the rocks. She reaches out and tells her mom there's still one seat left on the submarine. Using every ounce of strength, Julia climbs up with her daughter's help. Together, they run toward the submarine while hundreds of sea monsters chase after them. When they arrive, they find that Now has passed away. Outside, more and more creatures appear, surrounding the area. Julia, Cassie, and Ben hurry into the submarine and seal the door. Through the window, they see a massive wave coming their way. They strap themselves in just as the water crashes down, sweeping across the entire desert. Inside, the submarine is tossed around violently. Julia can't stop thinking about Tom, how he died, and the nightmare they've been through. But even with fear in their hearts, the family holds hands and refuses to give up. Hours later, the submarine finally stops moving. Julia opens the hatch, and the three of them step out to find a city in ruins completely destroyed by the flood. But they're alive. Julia hugs her children tightly, overwhelmed with relief. A family trip turned into a nightmare, but they survived. In a final voice recording, Julia says that although they went through so much pain, she, Ben, and Cassie came out stronger. She believes the disaster was nature's way of fighting back, punishing humans for destroying the planet. Now, the world has a second chance. And maybe this time people will live in harmony with nature instead of against it. What did you think of this movie? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the recap, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.